Associates are finishing like right now, so it might be that there's a big influx of people in 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. Then we can start in like 2 or 3 minutes if that's okay with them. Is that okay with you? If we just wait a minute?
It's fine with me. Yes.
Okay.
I'm really flexible.
Okay, perfect.
I'm just sitting in my hotel room here in Glasgow.
Oh, really?
Really, yeah. So.
Oh, you traveled here?
I traveled. Yeah, I was here last week for a conference, and then in between, I traveled north
Mm-hmm.
To see a bit of Scotland because I had time between the other meeting and this meeting, and I traveled by bike, by train and bike. So I saved 74% fuel carbon emissions. But now there's a train strike. So we'll see how I eventually get back. But I tested positive for COVID, and so I'm in my quarantine period.
Oh no, how are you feeling?
I feel okay, not really that sick, but a little bit
That's
sick.
good.
Nothing. It's just funny. My I think my smell is gone.
Really? Oh no.
Yeah, I smell coffee, but I can always smell the coffee. So how's the meeting going? It looked like I enjoyed the keynotes. Unfortunately, virtually you're limited. You can't choose all the different options to the different sessions. There's only some that are offered virtually and others not.
Oh really? I saw on the app that there was the because I missed one of the sessions. You were able to like interact with the speaker. You can ask a question. They were pulling up the questions. I thought that was nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, now I can't find it.
And I think it's overall it's great that it's hybrid.
Yeah, it's been a little bit tricky here, but we ran into a few bumps, but nothing too bad yet.
No, and for the presentations that I can watch, they're really nice, good quality.
Mm-hmm.
You can see all the details, and they're seamless.
I guess we can get started, and then if anyone comes in, they won't miss too much. I'll do a little introduction. So hello and welcome to our first hybrid in-person table talk on open publishing with Dr. Tonya White. She is an investigator of pediatric population neuroimaging at Erasmus University, and as I learned from her talk at the open publishing panel yesterday, she is soon joining the NIMH. She is currently the editor-in-chief of Aperture Neuro, which is the open publishing platform of OHBM. So how this works is we'll just like have an open discussion. If you have any questions, she might not be able to hear you from over there, so you can walk up to the podium and ask, or you can just ask me and I'll repeat it. But yeah, does anybody want to get started with any questions or statements to spark a conversation?
So just a quick question. What I see is you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna move it this way, like move the camera when someone comes up. I could turn it to the audience too, but I don't think that you'll be able to catch the audio with it. Anybody brave wants to come up? Or I can start? Okay. So this is just a general question I had from the panel yesterday. So what are some actions authors and reviewers can take now to improve open science practices in publishing? And maybe you can give a little introduction to Aperture Neuro and what Aperture Neuro does to enforce open publishing principles.
So I'll start with an introduction to Aperture Neuro, how it started, because it started probably in 2015, 2016. Oh, it's nice to be able to see people. I'd love to be there in a small roundtable group having a nice discussion on this. So during one of the council meetings, I was the secretary of OHBM at the time, and there was discussion about the COBITUS document, which was being created and written as a best practices from the OHBM community. And there was discussion about where was the best place to publish that article. And there was discussion that it was either J.B. Pauline or Martin Lindquist said, well, why don't we publish it ourselves? And at that point in time, that was a seed that was planted, which J.B. Pauline really picked up and ran with, and had a meeting. We had in 2017 a meeting in Montreal with people at Kotahi. Adam is someone that has an open science publishing platform, which is open source. We're having challenges with that at this moment, but that's a different question. So then there was the formation of the Aperture Oversight Committee, which J.B. Pauline was the initial head, and Peter Bandettini is now currently stepping down from his role, and Ina Buch will be filling in the Aperture Oversight Committee. So we have we have the editorial board from Aperture Neuro, and we have the Aperture Oversight Committee. And one of the actually positive things about the Aperture Oversight Committee is my goal is that they deal with the entire financial side of things. So the goal is that this is going to be, it's a nonprofit, it's community driven, it's so I don't want decisions we make as an editorial board, we make decisions based on quality, not on funding. I don't want this to be a predatory journal. We want it to be OHBM's journal, and we have support from council to help support us in these early stages. We have a number of pillars, and actually there's a booth. You can meet our new editorial staff, Masood Amiri, who's running the booth. And you'll see a kind of a banner that shows the pillars of Aperture Neuro, and open science is one of those things. So publishing, open access. The other thing is that it's going to be low cost. It's at least a third less than most journals. And as we get going, if we make money, we're going to not make money. We're going to just reduce costs, reduce the amount of people have to pay. But right now we have a set number for members and for non-members. And it's not the goal to make money, but to cover the costs. And that's one of the things that council is asking us, to make sure that, we cover the costs of the journal. But my role is, that's the Aperture Oversight Committee. Our goal is to look at quality. The other important thing is to have different types of research objects. So it's not just your typical journal. We plan to have interactive submissions, code. People can submit code. We have guidelines for how to submit code. And Renzo Huber was very instrumental in helping get those developed and up and running. Data, we will publish data, and along with data papers that accompany the data. And educational objects is also something that we're looking at all the details, the best way to approach publishing. For example, some of the educational presentations that have taken place in OHBM, how can those be published and then also have a DOI and something citable. How do you peer review those? So I'm seeing the questions come up. This is great. So it's going to go from me as the editor-in-chief to a handling editor, and there's a list of handling editors who who are very interested in kind of reviewing or handling code. They're willing to handle code. Those are people who are, have expertise in coding, and then they will select reviewers for that. So I had a vision of actually so I'm someone who has a mixture of a technical background in electrical engineering and also a medical background. And I know that in engineering, and those people generally like working together. So one idea is that actually it's not reviewed by one person, but it's reviewed by a group of people who actually test the code and see how it works. Does the code do what it says it's going to do? So there's some code that people know, people use a lot, and that wouldn't need that level of review. But if it's new code or specific plugins, then it would undergo a review to say, is this valuable to the community? If it's valuable to the community, then the second thing is, does it work? So that's how the goal is to review code. The other thing that I wanted to mention is aspects of replicability and reproducibility. So we're starting. We're developing code for registered reports so that people can how to review a registered report. So before any data analysis is done, to submit an analysis plan. And I envision the future of much of neuroimaging. Not all. It's more difficult for task-based fMRI to have like replication studies embedded, but for those who are using data such as the ABCD data sets or other, UK Biobank, HCP, developmental HCP, for those data sets, there's actually other data sets available where replications can be built into the study design. So those type things will be, I think, important for helping reproducibility in the future. And I'm glad to see that Rosa wrote that Aperture is such an exciting platform.
She might not be able to hear you from your seat, so if you want to ask a question, I could repeat it or walk up to the podium and ask a question. Please feel free. So I have some. Yep. Let me try to move this around.
Like one of these ones, or?
Yeah, either one is good. I'm trying to move this. Oh, wait, I just had it. There we go.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. Yeah. I just started my PhD, so I'm pretty new to this whole thing. But do you think that open journals, they have like the same type of reputation than like, the ones where you have to pay for the articles, or do you think that people will subconsciously think like maybe it's worth more if I'm paying for it? Like, do you think it's maybe a bigger challenge to make people think that it's like quality articles that are being published than like if they're published like sort of with the well-known journals?
So I would say if we go back 5 years ago, 4 years ago, the open access journal, I hear an echo, but the open access journals would be have less impact, lesser impact factor than, those that you don't pay for, you submit. That is currently changing, and you see that now. So neuroimage has gone to open access, and this is partly due to the push for open science from funding agencies, from Plan S in Europe, where there's a push that if taxpayers are paying for research to be done, they should be able to access that the reports should be open. So then journals have been making a shift. So, for example, Nature is now has an open science or open publishing, but you pay, I think, $12,000, or maybe it's euros, or I don't know, but you're paying huge amounts of data to publish one paper in Nature. So you're going to see, irrespective of the quality, a lot of journals are going to be moving in that way. And some journals are doing it hybrid. In other words, so I can think of psychiatry journals like the JCAP or the JCPP. They have their main one subscription, which is not open. You can pay for it to be open. You can pay extra to have your paper open. And then they're starting another journal, open access journal, partly because with Plan S, if things are moving in that direction, they have to be prepared for the future. So to answer your question about impact, it's changing. It's a changing field where traditionally the highest impact journals are not open access, but that will change.
Okay, thank you.
That wasn't too long.
No.
So hi.
Hi.
Hi. I just have a question, and sorry if it is not really for this session, but the question I have is about actually the prices, for publicating open access. Like, I'm from Latin America, and for us it's very, very, very expensive. Like, I'm from Uruguay, and in my country, like, if you win the largest grants, which is very competitive, you get like $30,000 for like 2-3 years, and you have to pay human resources, scans, everything from there. And then to pay $2,500 for paying one article is just too much. And there is this program, Research for Life, where you get reductions if you are in certain countries. But for example, most Latin American countries are not included in there. So we have to pay the same as European, North American countries. And so this is something that in Latin America is being discussed quite a lot, because in the last few years with this open access politics, which is quite nice in a way, it is increasing the bias in publication access between northern and southern countries. Like in my country, in Uruguay, we have like one 3 Tesla scanner in the whole country. So this is our situation. And after a lot of effort in getting data and trying to do something, then when you get to publish, it's like you cannot publish because it's like you don't have access to the journals. And I actually wrote 2 weeks ago to Neuroimage and Human Brain Mapping, explaining and asking for a reduction, to send a manuscript. And the answer was like, no, this is how it is. This is what you have to pay. And we don't have any solution. So I don't know. I think it's a huge problem that can bias, access between groups that have more money, groups that don't have more money. Of course, you have this bias across everything that you are doing, but now it's like another step further, because when you get to publish, then you have to pay these amounts of money, and it's just very difficult. So I don't know, just if there is any thoughts about that.
So I do have thoughts, and my my colleague from Cuba, Pedro Valdez Sosa, who's been very active in OHBM, is a very strong advocate for Latin America and publishing. So in Aperture, we do have the ability for people from low and middle income countries. I think that's the best way to describe it. So we're hosting a guest edition of Pedro, and one of the members was the former head of the World Health Organization Behavior and Substance Abuse in Geneva, and he said, "There's no developing, or when it comes to mental health in developing countries, everyone's a developing country." Is what his state was. But regarding income, low and middle income countries should have, a decreased cost, at least for Aperture. And I agree that other journals take different views on that. I think it's unfortunate. I think people should look at specific countries and not just, rather than just looking at an income of the country, what is the income, how much does that country invest in research? So you get some countries that might actually look rich, but they invest very little in their research infrastructure. And so the researchers have this equally difficult time. But I know Latin America is, in general, is a country where the resources are less, and so there should be reduction on the amount, and that can be done at Aperture. We have support from that and support from council.
Right. Thank you very much.
Sure.
I'm gonna move this so it might be easier for you.
Oh, there's a question here. As an early career in research, what can I do to help the future fair and transparent?
No, to the podium, because you can see the screen better from that way. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Should I answer that question?
Yeah, let me interrupt, Carol.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. There's someone at the podium, and then I'll come back to that question.
So I was going to bounce off the last two questions and perhaps point out that whenever discussions of cost are mentioned, we often go to, here's maybe a cheaper option, or here's yet another gold access option. And we often fail to discuss green open access options or pre-printing, which are two entirely free options that allow you to navigate this whole system of, we can publish here, but we can't cover the open access costs. If you post a preprint, then it's yours and it's out, and you can put it on your website, and then Google Scholar catches it and it can be shared. Or quite many journals actually allow you to either archive on your own personal website or allow you a green open access option like preprinting. So there are also green open access options. Googling Sherpa Romeo, I think it is a site that will give you all the information journal by journal about that. So there are options that don't immediately jump to give publishers more money, essentially. I just thought that might be a point to raise. And I don't know if there's any kind of points from Tonya on that as well. Just like bounce.
So it was unclear. So publishing in a preprint server, or if you publish in a journal which doesn't cost, but then you can then also, before it's published, before you can take your final version, but not the proofs, the final version, and that can be uploaded as a preprint, which could be downloaded and shared. And that's one way to circumvent that. But if it's just in a preprint, then it's not peer reviewed. And generally in our current system for how academic advancement is that the peer reviewed articles are what count, at least in many academic centers. So I wasn't quite sure what, the preprint is a way, is a great way to publish or to pre-publish. So as an early, let me read this one, and if you want to come back and if I'm misunderstanding something, let me know. But there is a question: as an early career researcher, what can I do to help the future of fair and transparent publishing? What is my role in this? So I would say a couple things. One is to consider either pre-registration or certainly before you do any analyses, publish an analysis plan. And there's a number of places you can upload analysis plans, and then follow the analysis plan. And that's one way to make it more transparent. So the reviewers can then go back and look to say, okay, what did you say you were going to do at the beginning? Did you do that? And then if I think that will really be helpful, because I believe that we should also be publishing more negative results. I calculated mine. I have about 10% of my papers are negative papers, and I'm probably higher than most as far as negative papers go. But even 10%, does that mean that 90% of my hypotheses are right on, or how much of those are false positives? And I would say a fair amount. In fact, some of the most interesting papers that I've read recently have been negative papers. But that's a whole nother talk. So analysis plans, pre-registrations. Thank you. And there's someone.
Hey, Tonya, it's Melissa Terpstra. I'm so sad you're not right here.
Melissa,
I've known her for forever. So I cut my hair. So sad you're not here. Anyway, for the sake of everyone in the room who's not part of this, first of all, I have at least one published paper of a non-result, so I can join the club. And it is important. That one got published on the backs of having found an interesting clinical finding. So it was a drug we were testing, and we needed to report a side effect. So that's how it got published. But I am, a lot of people are saying I'm at an early stage in my career and they want to know what to do, but I'm at a later stage in my career and finding it difficult to change with the times and not sure how to navigate what is a reputable place to publish a paper and what is not. And quite honestly, I get every other day some open access journal asking me to review for them. And some of it's obvious and some of it's not, whether this is legitimate. Do you have any direction on that?
So so that's a challenging question. I think it's not, from my perspective, it's not straightforward. So what I've decided to do is there's journals that I know and I've known for years that are the staple of, I could list them, but I could count them probably a dozen journals. And I actually say, these are the journals I'll review for. The other ones, I just say no to. So sometimes there's something that comes along, which is right in my area. And then I look up the journal and I try and make a sense from what the journal is. But in general, what I do is I have a selection of journals that I know that I trust, and I just review for those, and because partly also because I don't have time to review. I get so many reviews, and also I get so many requests to submit papers to open science journals. Hi, we saw this, submit to this, and those, if they have to solicit,
That's
that's a key that there's something not quite.
right.
Yeah,
I guess.
because when you're first starting out, so for example, I can list a number of papers that that have their primary subscription, but then they open a open access journal, and what they do right away is they get people, and this we've done this in neuroimage or neuro aperture neuro as well, is try and get people to write in order to get to the point where you get a citable at PubMed, because that really is important for the journal for people who want to submit to the journal. Also, it's really nice to see you. I'm right across town, but I'm COVID positive and
Oh no, sorry.
a couple miles away from the conference center. So
Oh, sad. So you have to stay there the whole time?
I think so, yeah. pretty much.
Oh, sad. Sorry for that. Well, nice to see you. Thanks for the answer.
Did I answer the question?
Yeah, definitely. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I was actually so looking forward to being there live and seeing people who I haven't seen in eons.
Hi, Tonya. It's Renate Schweitzer. So I fed up of the known people. It's great to see you. My hair has not been cut, but has been longer. It's longer now. So I also have a question. I understood what you explained of Aperture as a journal to publish, started out as publish unusual things like the COBIDAS or now the code. And I would just be interested, is it also a journal, open access journal, to publish the classical, task-based, studies that, we still do nowadays?
Yes. First of all, wonderful to see you. And yeah, someone, yeah, we go way back. So it's nice seeing you. I would say that we have this what's called research objects, and diversity is really key to Aperture Neuro, and not just and diversity is diversity of research objects is one, diversity of our editorial team is another, and diversity of modalities. So diversity of MRI, fMRI, postmortem, MEG, EEG. We're eclectic. Our interest is whatever covers the brain, and we've had some very interesting submissions. For example, we have a paper published from the Brain Art SIG, which could have been an editorial, but there's this, I think, this notion of creativity between art and science, which is worthwhile publishing. So definitely the classics papers looking specifically at, yeah, I don't know, the extra gyrus of Einstein. I don't know. I mean, those type papers are fabulous. So we welcome those as well.
Okay, great. And great seeing you.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions? We have about 9 minutes left.
So can you, we've had 25 submissions. So how many papers are published currently at Aperture is the question. We've had 25 submissions and several rejections and 9 accepted papers. So that's where we currently are as far as the number of papers published. So our goal is actually by this time next year, we hope to have to be citable on PubMed, because I think there's, if you think about imaging papers, and if you think about the OHBM community, there's definitely room to have another kind of dedicated neuroimaging or brain mapping type journal. Besides HBM and neuroimage, those are great journals, and ours is takes a different stance. And I mentioned this yesterday, but I thought I'd bring it up again. So when I lived in Minnesota and interacted with Melissa, I also every other week I went to a writers group in the evening. So, and this was a group of people who mostly had masters in fine arts, and they were school teachers, but they had a love for writing fiction and poetry and short stories, and it was loads of fun to go and to be creative in a different way and to write things. So they were asking me about the publishing model of science, and at the time there were, most things were not open science, but there were some that were open science. But they were saying, so let me understand this right. You're the one who writes the paper. The publisher doesn't pay you for the papers. In fact, they're reviewed by people who aren't paid by the publisher, and they're published, and sometimes you have to pay to publish them. And they were, from the perspective of people who are writing, and sometimes, they say, you have to, before you get a success, usually you filled your bathroom wall with letters of rejection, letters, which some of us have done as well. So in any case, the model of publishing from their perspective was, how is that so? They had a hard time comprehending that. And so we as scientists are the ones who make decisions about all the journals. And I'm not saying it's a bad system that, well, I'm just saying we should look at how we're doing things, because we as a community can make decisions about the best approaches for open science and publishing. And so then you have the questions like, if finances are primary driving, then if you're a low and middle income country, then you get people saying, no, you can't publish there. And that does induce a certain bias. Any thoughts? Does anyone want to comment on that?
I don't know. Maybe this is just since no one else is saying anything. I feel like in science we're supposed to do everything for free if you want to have a good laugh. But it seems like, yeah, we need to move in this direction, and those of us maybe in leadership need to figure out how to do it. So yeah, it's funny. You put things in a different perspective. It doesn't make sense. We have to pay to get a paper published. So I don't know. I don't have anything useful to say except that in science, there's a lot of things we don't get paid for. It's, I don't know, par for the course.
Okay. Thanks, Melissa. And, oh, JB. Oh, JB, you're there. One of the 5 pillars of Aperture is indeed low cost, as JB has written. And and he says Elsevier has a profit margin between 30-40% for some activities. So the our goal is not to make money in Aperture. Actually, it would be as a publication platform, I think we should be transparent about all the costs and things like that go into it, so that any member of OHBM can say, hey, you know, what are you doing? I'm not paid for the position, my role in Aperture Neuro, and the only person paid is Masood Amiri, our staff editor staff position. And if we get lots of submissions, we'll reduce the costs after we get a really good, after our platform of editorial managing platform is running really efficiently. We're working on that now. JB, did you want to say something? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I can invite you on the screen.
Oh, is he virtual? Oh, yeah. He also is in the same boat as I am.
Let's see.
Being with testing positive.
What? Yeah, okay.
Tell her farewell. Bye, Tonya.
Bye-bye, Melissa.
I also have to go. Bye, Tonya.
Bye, Renata. Okay.
Let me try one more time.
Oh.
There we go.
That
Hey.
Sorry. Usual problem.
So we'll take any remaining comments or questions and then we'll wrap up because I think we have another session soon. Any last comments or questions or things you want to say?
JB, did you want to say anything about, from your perspective, about Aperture Neuro that I didn't cover?
Turn your audio down a little bit on your computer. That's okay.
I'm going to mute mine.
Better, yeah, good now.
Okay. Not really sorry for being late. I was another call. The only thing I want to say is that the involvement of the community in that project is completely critical. You probably said it before, Tonya, but in my mind, this is really a community-based platform, and I think having a good way of listening and reacting to the needs of that community is really what it is about.
So I say we do this next year, and then we can all hopefully be live and in person and have a number of us at the table, including JB and Malar and myself and maybe Peter and Ina.
Well, thank you both so much for being here. I'm not going. We're gonna wrap up now. Thank you so much for your time. Both of you feel better and enjoy the rest of the conference virtually. Hope to see you soon. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. JB, are you in Glasgow?